Hello, everyone. This is Eden, your local real estate agent, your realtor for life. Thank you so much for coming and listening to this wonderful educational program that we have today. Here, I do have a wonderful gentleman who's going to introduce himself, and you're going to find his services extremely valuable. So please go ahead, Barry, introduce yourself.
Okay, I'll make it easy. It's not easy to talk about yourself, but my name's Barry Lebow. I've been in real estate 56 years, the only career I know. And I'm a grade 10 dropout. I left high school in the middle of grade 10. And I went to university because of real estate and to get my FRI designation. And from that, I spent the next 13, 14 years in universities, and I've eventually got my arbitrator mediator's certificate from the University of Toronto. And your focus today is on arbitration and mediation, and I've been doing it for probably since the early 80s. And people don't understand it as well as they should, and they don't look at it as an option as much as they should.
Wow. You know what? I'm so glad we're talking, because I could actually mention a real example of where I feel, or if you're able to help us. So
Sure.
I have partner clients that own a property together, right? They were in the process of selling this property. One is very serious. They want to sell. They want to do whatever needs to be done to price the property right, get everything ready to get it to be done now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I don't know if you're going to help me there, we'll get there. So the other person is not as much. They want to sell, but at their terms with the price they want, and so what do you do here? And the partnership is that there's 1/3 owner and there's 2/3 a couple owner.
Oh,
does that work?
that's even worse.
Oh, really?
Well, the 2/3, of course, control. So that's a reality. But let's back up for a second.
Okay.
I just finished something where 3 partners, best friends growing up, with a property, and when it came time to sell, there were 3 different views.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them 6 years of fighting, litigation,
Wow.
and I can't tell you how much money they made for the lawyers.
Wow.
What is the first takeaway from anything? I don't care if you're in partnership with your spouse or your son or your daughter, you have to have a contract that says exactly what should happen if one party wants to sell. And there could be what we call a shotgun clause, where one partner has to sell to the other. I'll explain why, even if you love somebody and you're tight. First of all, let's talk about love. Divorces are a fact of life. But the other thing is, so is death. Somebody all of a sudden gets hit by a car, or they get a sudden illness, they die. And now the other partner is sitting there going, what do I do with the estate? The son, somebody else has inherited it. They don't want to cooperate. I've got a problem. We weren't tenants in common. It's a real mess.
Right.
So you have to plan when you go into a real estate deal for the inevitable. So in your case, it's too late. It's already done.
Right.
What they can do, and again, they're going to make lawyers rich, is they can go to court and petition the court to have the property sold. And it depends on who has the better case on what terms it shall be sold. But I know that for myself as a realtor in my career, I've been appointed by the courts many times to sell properties because the partners won't cooperate. And it's pretty tough. I've also been appointed by the courts to be the arbitrator, where all the offers have to come through me and I make the final decision. Now, that's an interesting one, because it's not pure arbitration. They call it arbitrator, but technically I'm the one that's by the courts. I'm the one that's making the choices for them. And it's not been easy, but it's been interesting, because I do know that there's a bad offer and a good offer. But in the other option is to go to arbitration. I advised someone on this the other day. Very similar case to yours, except it's a sister, a brother, and an aunt. So we're talking about very tight family. They can't agree. And there's not a lot of loose cash. Until they sell the property, nobody's got a lot of money.
Right.
So I said to them, the easiest and cheapest and fastest way to do this is to go to arbitration. And you sit there and you present your case. Now, the beauty of arbitration is you can pick, if I go to court,
right,
and you and I go to court, no matter what, and you have a case, you have no idea of who that judge is. There are some great judges, and if you're dealing with real estate, there are some judges just don't know real estate. That wasn't what they were. Insurance lawyers before they became a judge.
Wow.
Or automobile.
Right.
They don't have it. So in arbitration, if you're going to do a real estate case, you can pick a real estate professional to be your arbitrator who understands real estate. So you don't have to educate the chair.
Exactly.
So there's a difference between arbitration and mediation, which I'll get into. In arbitration, it's looser. I especially allow a lot of crosstalk. I let people even blow up sometimes and yell at each other if it gets the tension out of the room. You're sitting at a table. You're not in a courtroom. And I'm at the head of the table, and the parties are on each side. And we encourage the parties at the breaks, talk to each other, see where it's going. I've sat in, because part of my background was I was an appraiser, commercial appraiser for years. And a large part of my appraisal business was arbitration for landlord-tenant on commercial leases, but particularly taverns and restaurants.
Oh, okay.
The tough one. And that was the majority. I think that was 90% of what I was doing. So I've watched some very good arbitrators and what they do. And I've seen judges do it in trials as well. Just, by the way, you said introduce yourself. I have testified in about or over 600 trials in my career.
Wow.
And that's not just
to clarify, staff, can you tell us clearly the difference between mediation and arbitration?
Mediation isn't binding.
Mediation
is you and me getting brought together to try to sort it out ourselves and come to a conclusion. I'm almost like a counselor, a marriage counselor, trying to get people to cooperate, but it's not binding. It's only binding if the two of us, you and I, agree to the terms.
I see.
So I'll sit there and I'll play like a marriage counselor. Hi, do you hear what Barry's saying?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, for example, with this particular case, now I get it. Most people fail the communication part. That's when they need.
They fail.
Yeah. So it's arbitration that we're looking at. For example, these people that I'm telling you, they're not in the same city. One is out of the country. Well, they have a power of attorney. Yeah, because they're very elderly. They pass that on to their daughter. That's the husband and the wife. The other partner, the aunt, is on her own, right?
Well, that's why you got Zoom.
Here. So the question is, they're not going to be in one room. How
you Zoom? You're Zoom. That's all.
Yeah, you could still have everybody on Zoom. and like as I say, one of the party is not like no email, no. The only thing you could do is phone with that person.
Well, you'd have to have somebody on the other side.
I would say probably with that
them
person
up with a Zoom. I mean, take a laptop in and put it on Zoom.
Okay.
That's not a hard thing. I don't care where you are in the world today. We can find somebody with a laptop. But let me put this to you. I had an arbitration.
Right.
And it had to do with a supermarket, a very large independent supermarket.
Right.
And I couldn't figure out what was going on. The tenant didn't cooperate. They sat there, they were silent, they weren't putting up a fight, an argument, or anything. They were dragged into the arbitration. They did not want to be there. They had their own reasons, which we found out later. But you can't arbitrate or mediate if the parties themselves won't agree to it. If you drag somebody in, it's bad. If you've got an original contract that
Right.
says that failing that you can't agree, it goes to arbitration, while they're forced to arbitration. But
Mhm.
voluntarily, if one party doesn't want to be there,
Mhm.
you've got a problem on your hands.
That's a court case. You need a lawyer.
Well, you should have a lawyer for this type of thing. It wouldn't hurt to always have an independent lawyer at your side, even for an arbitration.
I
Not so
see.
much in mediation, but
Right.
for an arbitration, yes. I rarely have been in complex arbitrations without a lawyer involved on either side.
But in a sense, the whole point of them not going to a lawyer was they thought it would be cheaper to get arbitration, as opposed to now they have lawyers, and then on top of that, there's arbitration. It's like, isn't like first, can you not arbitrate them, and then if that doesn't work, get a lawyer?
They can voluntarily do that, but they have the right to come with counsel of any kind. It can hire you as a real estate agent to
Right.
represent them. It
Right.
doesn't matter. It can be that loose. And
Right.
I've been to them where there's no lawyers, and most of them, there have been lawyers.
Mhm.
And the only thing with the lawyers, it's like selecting a judge. You have to have a lawyer who is prepared to give a little bit, to yield, not just play lawyer. We're there to settle. We're there to make some kind of agreement that when they walk out the door and it's settled,
Mhm.
and it can be settled.
But
See,
you
the
wouldn't be able to
arbitrator is
do-
a judge. An arbitrator is a judge.
Oh, okay.
They
Okay.
rule.
Right.
So if I rule on that case, that's
Right.
it. Unless I make a mistake by law, they
Mhm.
can't overrule it. That's the ruling. That's
I
the
see.
Arbitration Act in
That's the
Canada.
arbitration. I see. I see. And
So
what's
I
the
have
fee?
I have the right to subpoena witnesses. I have the right to swear in witnesses. I am an acting quasi judge in
Right.
many ways. Only can be overturned by me making a major mistake
I
or
see.
showing bias, which is not
Right.
the case.
Right.
You know, I know
Right.
I'm friends with one of the parties, or better,
Mhm.
I like one of the lawyers better.
Mhm.
But that doesn't happen that
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
We're
Doesn't-
neutral.
Yeah.
We're neutral.
Yeah.
And I've never had one of mine overturned. And it's some angry people, I'll tell you, because sometimes you just end up splitting things down the middle, because that's what the evidence shows.
Right.
In
Right.
this particular case,
Mhm.
first of all, you'd have to establish the price. So you need an independent appraisal to establish price. So they have to agree on what the value is to start with. That's the first premise. What is the value? What is the monetary that
Mhm.
you're arguing over?
Right. Exactly.
Then you have to decide how to market the place. I could rule that this is a terrible. There's got a real estate agent from, if the property's in Toronto,
Mhm.
and they've got an agent, let's say from Oakville. Well,
Mhm.
I don't believe that you can service that well. I want a Toronto agent that knows the neighborhood and knows it well, and I may have to select the agent.
I
Period.
see. I see.
That I want the best agent for that property to sell it.
Okay.
Period.
So the process here right now is, let's say, if I was going to recommend my clients to reach out to you, right? You say both of them have to agree to meet with you in order for this.
They have to
arbitration
agree to the
happen.
process.
Yeah. Yeah. So
They absolutely have to.
what does the
It's
cost?
worthless.
Like, do they pay separately, or is it like a one fee?
No, they pay separately. First of all,
Okay.
I believe that arbitration
Mhm.
should be, unless it's complex. I have a big one coming up. It's going to take 3 to 4 days. This is not that type of thing.
Right.
I have a rule
Mhm.
that we're going to sit there until it's over in 1 day.
Wow. Okay.
So you don't have 2, 3, 4 days of hearings, racking up costs and bills. My costs are between $4,000 to $5,000 for a day, split between the two people. So that's not outrageous when two people split the bill.
Mhm.
But then on top of it, it depends also on the decision. Do they want a simple decision, or do they want a decision that's very detailed in by pages of why I believe what the decision should be? That's going to cost money too, because a complex decision takes time to produce.
Right.
And some arbitrators can have it done in a week. Let's say here, if it's simple, other arbitrators can take a month or two to come up with a decision in writing, because you have to be careful in what you say. Now, there is a balance. The best judges I've seen and the best arbitrators will stop the parties around the lunchtime and say, I want to tell you what I'm hearing. This is where I'm influenced by your side. This is what I'm influenced by the other side. And I really think that come the lunchtime, maybe the two of you should talk a little bit. Because yes, I'm straying into mediation, but my job as an arbitrator is to save costs. The arbitration should be simple in the respect to we're not in the courtroom. So let's try to save money. And the easiest way to save money is to come to a reasonable compromise.
That's right.
And I've had people go out at the lunch hour or at the afternoon break and start talking. Sometimes family members are the worst, for the first time in years, face to face.
Right.
And settle it. And they say, okay, I'll agree to this. I'll agree to that. I'll agree to this. I'll agree. Boom. They come back in the room and say to me, Mr. Lebow, I think we can resolve this. And I go, okay. And I start writing. What are you resolving? We're going to do the following. Okay. And I'll say, okay, you're going to do that when? Oh, okay. When we agree, who's going to do this? Who's going to do? Fine. And that's it. And then I send it out in writing to the parties. The parties have agreed to the following. It's over.
And do they sign whatever they?
No, they don't have to at that point. It'd be better if they did, but I don't force them to sign. No,
but you're saying kind of would be a witness just in case one agreed and changed their mind. So that would be an evidence.
Well, no, then it becomes my ruling.
Yeah. Oh, is that right? Okay.
It becomes my ruling. But that's the thing. I mean, we could, but here's the other thing too. In complex situations where there's a lot of money at stake, we have a stenographer or reporter in the room.
Oh, okay.
If we don't, then I have to sit there and start drafting.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay.
So I've done it a few times. I've done it. I've had people sign. There's no argument to that. We've agreed to the following. Bang, 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 bang. I do point form. That's all. And then they sign.
That's
I can do that just as easy. Do they have to sign? No, usually you take it at face value at that point. Could they change their mind? You know what? I've never had that. But
I guess on a Zoom call like this, everything is recorded as well. So that's
we record a Zoom. Absolutely.
So in this sense, like you say, remember you're saying it would take you a day. Let's say, does it really like I say, I don't know, you have a meeting 2-3 hours, like point by point what the issues are. So, but you said it was a day, just the minute they book with you would be a day fee. Is that how it works?
It's a day fee, plus whatever reading I have to do, plus and minus. So although I'm $4,000 to $5,000 for the day, there's a problem. There could be disbursements. For instance, it depends how much reading there is, how much material comes to me. It's like when I do litigation work, I do a lot of reports for lawyers for litigation matters in real estate. Some lawyers send me, now it's all electronic, but I can get one file, like 3-ring binder full of paper in electronic form, or I get 2 bankers boxes filled. So you gotta pay me for that time to read it all. I've got some stuff to read from lawyers sometimes. It could take me 3 days to go through the material. Other times I'm finished in 2-3 hours.
So you need to hand them at the end of the day, whatever the meeting was, with the proper reading, correction to the owners, and it's just a day fee when they.
Yeah, they pay it up front. They pay it up front.
Okay.
And what they do is the thing is the fee, when you look at it in relationship to what lawyers would cost. Remember, right now it's January. We're doing this at the end of the year. We're coming into January in a few days, and it's quiet.
Right.
You could book me right now for 2-3 weeks from today, and you could be there to get this done, because it is quiet. My calendar is more open. February starts getting busy. Right. What I'm saying to you, try that with court. You could be a year.
Yeah.
Or more. So it drags on, and 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 I bring it back to you.
Mhm.
Real estate can go up and real estate can go down, and that can hurt one of the two parties or both. So where I'm going with this is we can cut it with a knife quickly. That's the beauty of arbitration, is the speed of the process.
That's right. No, that makes sense.
So the faster, the cheaper.
Right.
Because if you're in a litigation thing,
Mhm.
then every time you phone your lawyer to say hello, it's like a taxi meter, like click, 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 click. You don't have that with this. It's
right.
over. It starts and finishes quickly.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. And that brings me to what is called cash for key. I don't know if you know anything about that.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it right now. I'm working.
Oh, is that right? Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
I'm doing one right now where I said to the tenant, I've been called in by people who have taken it over by power of sale, and the tenant is paying cheap rent.
That's right.
And the tenant knows his rent is cheap, but he also knows. So I said to the tenant very nicely, look, you seem like I went to meet him. You seem like a really nice person.
That's right.
Therefore, let me treat you with respect. At the end of the day, you're going to be out. You're going to be out. But the trouble is, it could take 6 months to a year to get you out.
Right.
But even no matter what, you're out.
Right.
So let's look at this. Number one, first option, make a deal with my people, buy the property.
Right.
You buy it. They'll give you a mortgage. They'll hold a mortgage, lower rates. That's number one. Number two, what do you want to take a bonus cash at the end to walk? You're going to be out anyways. Why don't you get some monetary remuneration to walk? Give me a figure. I never throw a figure at them, ever, because their figure may be cheaper than what the clients authorized me. And number three, you do nothing. We go through the process, and a year from now, you're out anyways, and you walked away with nothing. So what do you want? You want nothing or something? Your choice. You look like a smart person. What's the smart move?
So,
I've been very
in this
successful
particular case, Barry, you're talking about power of sale, right?
Yeah.
The power of sale, if the purchaser was going to move into the house, eventually they have to move out, right? But let's say you're selling investment property, right? It's an investor that's buying it, and really they have to put from their pocket $4,000 to $5,000 per month to subsidize that tenant, right? Is there a way of, again, enticing the tenant to, help them out, find something else, or have that little So, and also I was told, actually, with the tenants, it's only the landlord that reach out to them with that offer. Is it true?
That's correct.
Yeah. So,
well, you could be a representative of the landlord. Anybody could represent the landlord.
You could represent the landlord.
Oh, sure. If you've got authorization, the landlord may say, I don't want to deal with this. You go.
That's right.
I've been dealing with tenants. I've had to take over entire apartment buildings under power of sale. I've had to manage. I also know, as good as I am in some aspects of real estate, I'm a horrible property manager. I don't want to manage. I don't want tenants. It's not my thing. I'm terrible at it.
Right.
It's like running a real estate office. Don't want to ever do that either. Again.
Yeah, me too. That part, I've
been there. I've been a babysitter.
Mary is the most incredible person.
Your manager?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you about your manager for a minute. Mary.
Yes.
She was a young woman. I was young.
Right. Yeah.
And I met her 40 plus years ago, and she had come from university to come into real estate.
Wow.
She was one of the first people I had ever known that had a university education and got into real estate, because most of us were failed in school. So a lot of them were immigrants that barely came to Canada with barely reading and writing, and were ultra successful. So Mary and I can tell you stories about people that did not read and write well that became very successful in real estate, and they served people well. But Mary, your manager, was rare. She was a university graduate, got into real estate, and that was amazed me. I never met anybody before like
You
that.
know what? Like I would never leave my office because of her. Because I don't know how she makes herself available on weekends, evening. I mean, I've been in the business for 30 years plus, but anything I want to brainstorm, I always run to her. Her English, her writing, her understanding is just really incredible. Really a gift to
Oh, you're
me.
blessed. She's probably one of the best managers in the business.
Yeah, beautiful
And
person.
I'm proud to call her a very good friend and good friend. And we were very active together in the Real Estate Institute of Canada when I got my FRI, and
Mhm,
we really got to know each other. We've traveled, we've been in
mhm,
different cities together, and
mhm. I
so
feel absolutely confident to invite other realtors to my office because I really, really, really value her partnership and help in everything I need. So thank you.
well,
I'm so
I
glad.
met her through Ralph Nardi originally,
Oh yeah,
so
I know that name. I know that name. That's amazing. So just to finish up the tenant situation. So
yeah.
if a landlord asks you to represent you to do this on their behalf, how does that go?
Nothing. You go and you do your job. You sit there. You hope the tenant's not hostile. I've had tenants that were complete idiots, and I've had tenants that are some of the nicest, just fine people that understand the situation. You
Hmm.
can't, you never know what you're getting.
Hmm.
I've had tenants that won't pay their bills and
Hmm.
are behind in their rent and are using everything they can within the law to stay in
Hmm.
place,
Right.
and we're using everything in our facilities to get them out.
Right.
And it's not the old days. We just can't walk in and cut the power like we've done. Let's just say I know of people who've done that type of stuff back in the day. It
Hmm.
was a lot easier in the
Yeah,
early
it was
years of
easier.
real estate to get rid of a tenant. But I've always been a big advocate of cash. What does it cost you? Usually I say, oh, by the way, your last month's rent, don't worry about it. If they've already deposited the last month, fine, then I'll give an extra month and cash. I dangle that too.
Yeah.
So sometimes I've even paid their moving costs in some
Yeah.
cases. Up to, hold on, up to a maximum, obviously.
Right. Right. And do you have the N11 form once they agree to sign?
Nope,
Oh, really?
nope. I
Mm.
give it to a paralegal. I don't want to get involved at all. That's beyond my skill set. I don't want to deal with it.
It's
I'm
just the
there
form
to
where they
try
agree.
to get them to cooperate. That's my
Yeah.
job. I do not get involved with landlord tenant
Mhm.
problems more than that. Try to get
Uh-huh.
people out. The
Oh,
reason,
no, no, no. The N11 form is, I'm
oh,
talking
I
about,
know the N11.
yeah, you know the 11 form.
Oh
So
yeah.
just for them to sign that, like fill out their information for them to give a notice to move out? No?
No, I wait for them. I never ask them to make a decision when I'm there.
Mm,
I give them, I said,
right.
I do not want you to make a bad decision
Yeah.
or to say no when you should have said yes, or yes when you should have said no. I
Right.
want you to think about this, and
Sounds
I'll get back to you in a week. Is that okay?
okay.
And I find it gives them time to talk to their friends,
Right.
mellow out,
Mm-hmm.
take away some of the anger if they're angry,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't push them to do it on the spot. That's a bad decision.
Yeah, yeah. Just to throw an example, for example, I do have a tenant that's paying 1,400, whereas the market value of this property is like 3,000, right? So what kind of offer do you think would be even fair for these people to
Well,
agree?
again, you have to tell them the inevitable is they're going to end up out eventually with nothing. So,
Not if an investor was buying it.
not if another investor, but no investor is going to take that kind of
No,
loss.
that's the one that I was focusing on.
Yeah, they're not going to take that kind of loss. That's almost an unsaleable unit. Let's not kid ourselves.
Mm,
It's a tough one to sell.
tough.
There's listings out there that, I'll tell you this, as a former broker of record,
Mhm.
I used to tell my salespeople who were trying to sell the hard one, there's no Academy Award for selling the hard one in real estate. Walk
I
away
agree.
sometimes. I would not even touch that stuff.
Right,
Anything
right.
that's that difficult, next.
Yeah. So the only thing is, I guess, if somebody wants to make this property for themselves to move in,
Absolute, or a
that's
family member or whatever.
yeah,
But you cannot, this is not 1995 anymore. We're
yeah.
dealing with 2024. We're dealing with tougher laws,
Mhm.
not favorable to landlords.
Right.
Tenants have a lot of rights. I
Right.
would not play games with the law that exists today because it's not in the landlord's favor.
Right, right.
And it could really backfire. So I
Yes.
would go out of my way. How much would I pay off tenants? I've heard of people paying some astronomical prices. A friend of mine just paid $20,000 to get somebody out. I've never gone over $10,000. That's
Right,
been my
right.
highest.
I see. Well, you know what? You've been an amazing person, lots of experience, uh, an incredible ability to explain this. I'm going to truly recommend you to all the people that I know that would need your service. And we're going to put you out there on all our social media. So I think whatever works with you, choose to work with you would be really
By the
beneficial
way,
for your service.
when we go to finish this,
Uh-huh.
I went to University of Toronto and
Right.
I always joke, I went at night school. My lady in my life, my partner, she went to University of Toronto in the daytime. So when we go wandering around, she lives right near the University of Toronto. We go wandering around, I'll say, what a great building. She says, didn't you go to school there? I go, I never saw it in the daytime. So here's what I want to tell you.
Right.
You could take all the courses that you want in negotiation, everything else, to be a really great real estate agent. I never took any course or seminar better than being an arbitrator or mediator. It's helped me in my life. It's helped me in my family life when there's been disputes. It's helped me in every aspect. The training for that was probably the best I ever had. And it's so much easier to be a good real estate agent with that background.
You know what? It was an honor. It was a privilege. I really hope to meet you soon and work with you together. Thank you so much again, Barry. Have a wonderful day. Thank
and
you,
a
everybody.
prosperous and joyous 2024.
Amen to that, to all of us. Happy New Year. We're just at the end of 2023. Thank you so much for watching out. I'm pretty sure you want to reach out 416-918-5979. I love to connect you with Barry for your services. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.